Hello everyone! Welcome to another episode of Reacting Reddit, where real humans read, react, respond to content on Reddit. I like to do informative content, so if there's something you want to learn about, please post below, let me know, and I'll try and make a Reddit video teaching you about it. Today we're going to be learning about how to properly resign, quit, or be fired! Hooray! A whole lot of politicians are resigning because of reasons. Right? 2021's been real interesting. Can't wait to see what the rest of the year has in store for us. So I figured, why not learn more about the resignation process? This original post by DQ'd, is a long, very informative guide on how to resign or quit properly, or how to respond properly if you get fired or you get laid off, and how to prepare and how to arm yourself to defend yourself, basically, right? So we're not going to be looking at that. We're going to be looking at the responses to it. The first response is by IB Crandy, and they quote part of the letter. The letter that they're quoting, or the original post that they're quoting, is, "Be prepared for what you'll do or say if your manager makes a counteroffer. Many people say it's a bad idea to stay after attempting to resign, but it can also go well." This person says so much this. "I accepted a job somewhere else and then put in my 2 weeks. The next day my boss calls me into his office and asks, 'What'll it take to keep you?' I blurted out what I thought was a ridiculous number. It was a 60% raise, mostly as a bluff. And he said, 'Let me talk with HR and see what we can do.' The next day he said the raise was approved. And I ended up working there for another 4 years until I was laid off, probably for being one of the highest paid programmers there were there." It made me realize how amazingly underpaid I was before, but gave me a nice boost in pay and has allowed me to get a better deal at future jobs. I should also point out that the place I went after I was laid off was the same place I had previously accepted the offer from, and then had to turn around and tell them I couldn't take the position after all. I made a point to go and tell the person who hired me in person, and I think that being professional and apologetic about it really helped with the future hiring. And at $15,000 more than before, it was worth it. That is actually pretty common. If you're a valued employee and your boss is like you, or you save them time or something, and you try and quit, it is pretty often that will actually get you a raise, or they'll offer you a raise. That actually happened to me, and not in a fancy job though. I was working as a projectionist in a movie theater, and then we switched to digital. So I was like, well, screw this. I don't care about this place if I can't work with film and machines. Like, that's what's really fun. Digital is so boring. You just press buttons and nothing goes wrong. And it's like, what? That's so lame. With a film projector, there's so many things that can go wrong. It's so fun and interesting and cool. But totally understandable that they were upgrading them to the less problematic digital projectors. But my point here is I was like, okay, F this. I don't want to work at a movie theater if I can't be doing cool, awesome stuff in the movie theater. And I was like, all right, I'm going to leave. And then they were like, well, how much would we have to pay you more to go? And except I didn't make up some ridiculous number, because I was just like, look, there's no amount of money you could pay me to stay here. It's about how intellectually challenging this is, and you took away the part that makes it intellectually challenging, so I'm going to leave. And then he was like, fair enough, I understand. But yeah, I personally don't think it's good to stay at a job that you don't like, unless it really is that you aren't paid enough to like it. If that really is all that's wrong, and you getting paid more and earning more money makes everything better, then it's totally worth it, right? But in my case, there's no amount of money that they could have paid me that would have made managing at the theater more intellectually stimulating than it is, because it's not intellectually stimulating. That's the reality. It's very monotonous and boring, and you get undervalued and underpaid, and people treat you like crap. So I had no interest in that, like none. Six Toe says, I would add that you absolutely must get that counteroffer in writing before deciding to stay. I once adopted a verbal counteroffer, only to notice that the salary in my next paycheck didn't jibe with what I was promised. I went to my supervisor to inquire about it, only to be told, how about that? Well, what are you going to do about it now that you turned down that other job? Oh God. I renewed my job search immediately. Yeah, that sounds, frustrating. Buffhen says, I find it so ridiculous that new potential employers will many times try to base their offer on your pay history in past positions. Maybe you've been at the same place for 10 years learning and growing, but are only getting 10% over what you were hired at. You could be worth way more, but the prospective employer wants to lowball you simply based on your past salary alone. Yeah, a lot of them are trying to save as much money as possible and cut corners. They don't realize that if they have well-paid, valued employees, that they actually earn more money if they run their business properly that way. But hey, that's old school cutthroat business model. East Indy Walrus says, I absolutely love that you got what you deserved. However, I just left my job a few days ago and didn't even entertain the counteroffer that my employer was hinting at. They could have just as easily walked you or I out after another month or so. You definitely took a risk in accepting the counteroffer. I'm very glad it worked out for you, but I don't know that I could be trusting enough to accept a counteroffer knowing that I could be gone on their terms rather than mine in a few short weeks. Yeah, it really depends on the company you're working for. Like, say that you hate the company you're working for and you find a better job and you go to quit and they make a counteroffer. Who gives a crap, right? Their counteroffer doesn't change that you hate them. But say that, you're just, not earning enough to properly provide for your family, or you're not earning enough to go on the vacations you want to, or whatever, but you like the people you work with, and you've thought about leaving for a long time, but you've really struggled because there are a lot of things that you like. Accepting a counteroffer in that situation may actually be a good thing. So just keep in mind that there's never the right way to do it in all cases. Life isn't black and white. It's all very, very gray. And we're raised to kind of believe everything's black and white. Like, oh, if this, then do this. If that, then do these things. If these things happen, then do this. But that's really not how it works. Most of life does happen in that gray area where what's good advice to one person may actually cause another person's death. So you really have to take everything with a grain of salt, Apophacious says, I spent a few years in executive search and now do analytics on hiring and retention. I've seen time and time again that counters rarely work out, especially after you pass the individual contributor level. Really, it's a signal that you aren't happy and want to leave, and managers who make counter offers usually do so just so they don't have to deal with a gap on their team. Programmers and data scientists are the rare exceptions to this, but even in those industries, after reaching management level, this effect is measurably blunted. Great Impression says, that's awesome. I was going to resign from a job I worked at for 10 years. Manager says, hold on, let's work this out. They offered me a work-home option so I could move to my dream city, and then laid me off 6 months later after I sold my car, signed a year lease, bought new furniture, new bed, etc. Never again. Counter offers. Yeah, that's what you get for working for other people. That's something that always baffled me as a child, because growing up, I saw how all of the uncertainty in life, in my life and my friend's life, kind of revolved around parents losing jobs or getting fired. And it was weird to see that, okay, my family and my friends, they've had unstable situations or the rug taken out from under them immediately. They've had to move last minute. They've had to move in with family. All of these things, all caused by having a job, having an education, and relying on that job to keep you fine. And then you would get fired or your company would go out of business or whatever, right? And it was so weird for me because as a kid, I'm surrounded by all these people who are relying on their jobs and then getting effed when the company gets, things that inevitably happen. I was a kid and I knew people who'd gone through these things, right? And then meanwhile, at the same time, everyone was also saying, hey, you gotta go get a college degree so you can have stability and always be able to provide for yourself and your family and crap. And I'm like, wait. So you guys want me to go spend $100,000 and for at least 4 years of my life on something that has me still relying on another person for my instability? Come on, that's so dumb. Why not just give myself stability and earn my own money online so that I can't be fired? I can lose the platform I'm working on. I can lose one of my income streams. But guess what? When you're a smart self-employed person, you have more than one income stream. But can you really say you have more than one full-time job? No. So if you get fired from your full-time job, you're screwed. And the reality is, tons of people get fired, tons of businesses go out of business. So you're putting yourself in a situation where that will happen to you or someone you love at some point in your life. And I would personally rather just say F that. I want to live a more stable life where I have more free time and I get to do what I want. So for me, I'm not surprised at all. This isn't a problem about accepting counteroffers for me. This is a problem of what the reality of working for another person is like. There is no job in the world that is so secure when you're working for another person that it's safe for you to be like, oh, I don't need to worry about what if I lose this job. Like, no, you always need to worry about that. You always need to know that the people you work for could fire you. They could lose their jobs. Their boss could fire them, and then you get fired in turn. Like, there's so many things that could go wrong. So a lot of this resentment, really, it sounds like these people are in situations where they're not actually that useful to their employees. They're very replaceable in the long term. And that's the issue. It's not that they accept counteroffers. It's that they're in a position where they are relying on another person to provide for them. And of course, that's not going to happen it's not going to happen for a long period of time, right? It's really unfortunate. Moving on. Yes, It's Him says a few things to think about. A bonus cycle. Even if you think you've earned a bonus, such as a retention or performance bonus, you assume you cannot get this if you've given notice. Discretionary means just that. Make sure the money is in your account first. Next, regarding a 401k or a pension vesting schedule, don't leave just before you would vest more benefits if you get the choice. This is typically on a calendar year basis. You may be offered severance, but this is not required unless you have a specific employment agreement. In some cases, you may be offered severance or other inducement to accept a layoff or resignation in exchange for giving up certain rights, e.g. a noncompete or waiving the right to sue for discrimination. You'd have to decide if this is worth it for you. Note that non-competers are unenforceable in some situations. Consult a lawyer if you are not sure what to do. By the way, COBRA decision window is 60 days, not 30. Note that non-competes are unenforceable in some situations. The biggest one being that non-competes are not enforceable for independent contractors. So many companies make their contractors sign those things when they're not valid at all. Yeah, but it's not about reality, it's about what people think. So if an employee thinks they can't do something, the reality is a lot less of them will, even if technically they can. Like TSA, for example. You think TSA is actually worth all the money we put in? If you do, look into how easy it is to trick TSA and how many things they've actually prevented. And then look at how much money TSA has spent. It's depressing. Juice the Brick says, there isn't anything wrong with not liking a good job. That's why hiring reps and hiring people obsess over good fit employees. Your fantasy is their nightmare. Yoder says, work on polishing that resume if you have 14 years experience in what you were doing. I know if I was reading it, it would pique my interest. In my area, the local community college has a career center where they will help anyone brush up their resume. You might also look into taking some classes at the community college. Then you can list that you are currently doing coursework, which a lot of employees will take as a sign that you're still improving your skill set. Granted, I work in a niche market, but I work in an engineering field with no bachelor's. But I have a load of diverse experience and a small pile of associate's degrees. I've been in at least one class each semester for spring and fall for about 15 years. I never got called for an interview, even when I dropped my application at reception of a related company in our niche that wasn't actively hiring. I've been in my current position for 9 or 10 years now, but still check over and over and update my resume every year and go over it with someone from the Career Center every other year. If an awesome opportunity comes up, I don't want to miss it because I'm slow on the draw. Ha! What's that quote? I'd rather work for a paycheck than wait to win the lottery. Levelint67 says, make sure you have enough money to carry into your next job without dipping into your emergency fund, set up a budget, and examine your general financial situation. Wait, why are we keeping this emergency fund around if we're not going to use it to cover unexpected circumstances? Oh, that's classic. People sometimes over-prepare for the wrong things, and then they don't do the things that they actually don't need that much preparation for. It's kind of interesting that way. We have a lot of these contradictions in our society. But say that you are fired or something and you're interested in online income or earning money yourself or working online. Well, I'm going to share some secrets with you. One secret is the demographics of people who successfully earn money online. So when I say earn money online, I'm talking about remote workers, people who work from home, people who are their own boss, people who call themselves digital nomads, whatever you call it. If you earn money from a computer and you don't drive to work every day or go to work that way physically, you're doing what I'm talking about. So my point here is that if you think about all these people working this way, what do you think those people are like? You listening to this, you probably think they're younger or they're more tech literate. What if I told you you're wrong? The people who are actually working online and making their own business and doing this stuff, most of them have two main motivations, and they're going to surprise you because they are not young people. They're actually people between 45 and 60. And their two motivations are providing for their family because they have like 4 kids, or retirement. I consult people who try and earn money online, and we're talking about not every single person, but 95% of the people I talk to are much older than me. They're over double my age. They're between 45 and 60. They have multiple children, and they're seriously looking at how to use the internet to earn money. What I've learned is that young people, even though they're more tech savvy and more technologically literate, they are still too caught up in the system, so to speak. They are too convinced that all they need to do is get a college degree. And the really unfortunate thing about my generation is that we're one of the first generations that isn't actually true. It's true that 30, 40 years ago, the best thing you could do for your stability was to have a degree because that made you very easily employable. So few people were college educated that being college educated essentially meant that you could find work whenever you needed to. However, that reality is gone. We live in a time where so many people are college educated that getting a college degree doesn't stand you out from the competition. It's just a requirement to meet the base of the competition. Whereas for our parents, there were times where college was unnecessary. You literally just needed to make it through high school, and a high school diploma could get you a job. Can you imagine that now? Getting a job just because you graduated high school? That doesn't happen. There's not a job that requires you graduate high school. There's just jobs that don't require college. They don't care who cares if you graduated high school? That just means you're 18. Come on. My point here is that most young people are too lost in the system. So they spend the first 30 to 40 years of their life working a lot, doing what they're told. And the people I end up talking to and teaching how to use the internet to earn money, they're not young. And isn't that crazy? They're people who did what they were told for 30 or 40 years, and then they didn't get what they wanted. And so now they're like, okay, maybe what I was told is wrong. How do I use the internet? How do I become my own boss? How do I make a better life for myself? And it's funny, isn't it? It's funny that it's actually the older people who are using the internet more effectively to earn money online. It's the people who have children they need to provide for. And it's the people who want to retire but can't. And they're facing working every day of their life for the rest of their lives until they die. And they don't want to do that. They want to be able to retire. They want to have that option. Isn't that crazy? So if you're listening to this and you're older and you feel resentful towards jobs or finding a job and you think you're never going to retire, believe it or not, you are the demographic of people that ends up being successful earning money online. So if you think you're too old or that you won't be able to find a new job and you're scared of retirement and you have kids you got to provide for, believe it or not, you are actually the most likely to succeed demographic when it comes to working from home and earning money online. You, whether you realize it or not, actually have an advantage over a lot of other people because of all your experience and because of your age and your wisdom. Funny, right? All right, everybody, that's it for now. If you're interested in this kind of content, please subscribe, leave a like, let me know what kind of comments you want. I'm happy to teach about anything. Just let me know below. And if you want to make this kind of content, please reach out to us. We're looking for other content creators to work with and develop this tool even further so more people can use a tool that helps you navigate and explore Reddit and create your own YouTube videos, responding and reacting to what you find. All right? We can learn a whole lot of stuff together. And we want to have a Zoom call with you. So if you want to chat with us, reach out to us by getting our email address from our About page on this YouTube channel, doing the CAPTCHA code after clicking on the For Business Inquiries section, and send us an email saying hello, because we want to have a Zoom call with you. All right, everybody, thanks for watching, and see you next time. Ciao!